Hello and welcome to the It Doesn't Hold Up podcast. We review and reevaluate all things you remember fondly from our childhood and years prior to see if they still hold up. And more often than not, they probably don't. I'm Stuart Shepherd, along with my co-host and good friend Michael Smith. Smith, how are you doing?
Well, very well, Stu. I've spent this week getting into the head of a pet detective.
Indeed.
And by doing that, I mean I've been eating dog food all week in lieu of my actual food.
Oh, and how's that worked
Get
out
into
for
the
you?
mind of the pet. I've got the shits. So if I keep running to and from,
But you have a very glossy coat.
I have alopecia. That's deeply offensive.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, yes. Before we dive into said episode's nomination, let's talk about last episode's feedback, which was Suburban Commando. Now, I received a boatload of feedback, all very varied. So bear with me while I go through this.
I'm
So,
surprised.
oh yes. Well, not all of it's good. So first, classic movie, but I can tell you now, no, it does not hold up. Someone else said, I love the film. I think it's a lot of fun, but let's be honest, it didn't hold up on the first day of release. And then positive one, Hogan should have got an Oscar for this. And then this might be one I don't watch along with. And friends of the podcast, another podcast, a Big Dumb Movie Podcast, shout out to you. They said, we did an episode on this too, a tough watch, but I was a big Undertaker fan, so there's that. And then a good bit of advice we got, which perhaps we should have followed before we did this, was I watched this film and thought the whole film was being deliberately bad to set up tropes in other better movies. When viewing from this perspective, it's a much better watch.
Well,
So,
now that
yeah.
is the greatest trick the devil ever pulled. Was convincing the world that he was doing it on purpose. He wasn't. It was shit.
No, it was shit. So, yes, that was Suburban Commando, and let's waste no more time discussing it. So, it is a milestone and very special occasion for me and Smith because it's the 1 year anniversary of our podcast. So, yay! Happy birthday to us.
I, for one, am delighted.
You look it, ecstatic. So, yes, we have been going for 1 year and we have done 17 episodes. So, within those 17 episodes, secretly, I've been categorizing how they have held up or not held up. And yeah, I'd like to spend a bit of time just recapping and might even test your knowledge on some of this, Smith. So, are you
Ooh.
ready? Are you ready?
I am. Test
So,
away.
out of 17 movies that we've covered, how many do you think don't hold up? Definitely don't hold up. Out of 17 movies.
9.
Close. Seven. Seven movies do not hold up. Out
Oh,
of
wow.
17
I'm more positive than I thought I would be. Oh, cool.
Yeah, there you go. Out of 17 movies, how many movies kind of hold up? So that's you think it holds up and I don't, or vice versa.
Oh, right. Okay. Then 4.
No, close. Six. So
Oh,
then,
wow.
yeah. So then by mathematic subtracting, four hold up. We've got
Oh,
seven.
wow.
Yeah, seven movies don't hold up. Six movies kind of hold up. And we've got four movies that don't hold up. So would you like to have a stab at what was the first movie we covered where we both agreed it held up?
Oh, Bean.
Nope. It was Flight of the Navigator. We both agreed that
Oh,
held up.
did we? I remember hating that. Okay.
No. What was the
Hmm.
movie that we both agreed, and it was the first movie we agreed didn't hold up?
Hollow Man.
It was Hollow Man. Great, yeah. So just to recap quickly, the movies that hold up are Flight of the Navigator, Hocus Pocus, Tango and Cash, and Rush Hour. The rest of them have either kind of held up, like Turtles, Masters of the Universe, Bean, and the rest have absolutely do not hold up, like Hollow Man, Super Mario Brothers, Santa Claus the movie, and the last four movies we've covered: Flintstone, Teen Wolf, Lawnmower Man, and Suburban Commando. So there you go. So yeah,
Let's see if we continue that run today.
indeed. Yeah, I think periodically I will give you the stats, but yeah, I thought the 1 year anniversary was a good time to do it. So yeah, just a big thank you from all of us for tuning into us if you're on YouTube and downloading our podcast and audios. It's been a lot of fun doing this, and yeah, we have plans to carry on. And very soon, I think we're going to move into the world of TV, cartoon, and games. We're saying we're going to be doing it. We have been doing a lot of movies, but yeah, we will be changing up the format a little bit in the future. So
Given my experience with games, what will happen is I will play all of 5 minutes of it, get distracted by something, and end up looking up the synopsis on Wikipedia.
Indeed, or just watching a playthrough on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Right, so controversially, this episode's nomination is Ace Ventura: Pet Detective from 1994. And not sure
Stu,
Smith did it on purpose.
At our age, we're going to keep coming up against the same years. It's just going to happen.
Other shit went on other than 1994, but anyway, so we
Not
said
in my world.
Not in your world, no. They're the only movies you possess within your DVD collection. It's
Yep,
just
all from
1994.
1994.
All for 1994. But no, we did say we didn't want to cover it because of the controversial content. And then offline, we spoke about this. Like, no, we shouldn't shy away from movies that have got taboo stuff in it. Let's just cover it as long as we point out some of that stuff is very wrong, which
And
we
we
will.
agreed, yes, that we would cover films starring Jim Carrey.
Yes, yes, we will. So, yeah, brief synopsis. This is about a pet detective called Ace Ventura, who is hired to locate the missing snowflake, who is a dolphin and a mascot of the Miami Dolphins American football team. Yes, Smith, what are you going to say?
Pet detective, definitely a job. Ace Ventura, definitely a name.
Yes, yes. I wonder if he was just to do a random Google of just a pet detective, whether anything comes up or with just immediately just Ace Ventura comes up.
It'll be pictures of Jim Carrey and then the kid that played him in Young Ace Ventura or Ace Ventura Jr., the belated straight-to-TV sequel that I've never seen.
I've never seen it, and only when I was doing my research for this episode, I came across this. I was like, I don't want to see this. This is probably in the same vein as The Son of Mask, which I also don't want to see.
I looked at it and that kid looked like he was eminently punchable.
Yeah, he really, really did.
I can't put up with it when Jim Carrey does it. I can't, definitely not going to put up with it for a kid.
No, certainly not. So, yes, as mentioned, this came out in 1994. I don't know if we've got any scene setting left, Smith. So, whatever you have, just throw it at us. What you got?
Well, I can go one of two routes with this, Stu, and I'm going to let you decide, dealer's choice. Do you want notable people who died in 1994, kick it off on a cheery note, or 1994, the year in quiz?
Oh, they both sound good. How about half and half? Some people that died and some quizzes.
All right. Well, I'll give you the first four questions of the quiz that I've prepared for you, and then I'll give you some notable deaths. All right. So,
sure.
This is the quiz of 1994. If you win, I will give you my DVD copy of Ace Ventura to do as you please.
I'll throw it back at you, but yeah, go on.
You can just burn it or something. Winning is getting a single one of these questions correct.
Okay, go for it.
Right. Question number one. Actually, two questions. Two questions correct. Question number one. Who won the Academy Award for Best Picture in 1994? I can give you multiple choice if you'd like.
No. I think that's Forrest Gump.
Correct. It is Forrest Gump. Okay. Well, that's one for Stu. One more out of four, and you're winning that DVD, you lucky boy.
Well, maybe I'll get
Question
it wrong on purpose.
Who was Time's Man of the Year?
I'm tempted to say Tom Hanks.
Oh, he was on my multiple choice. Would you like to know who he's on my multiple choice?
Well, go on then. I don't care, but yeah, go on.
Nelson Mandela, Pope John Paul II, Bill Clinton, or Tom Hanks.
Now I'm going to say Nelson Mandela because that makes sense. It was the presidency of the World Cup and all that sort of stuff.
Incorrect. It was Pope John Paul II.
Oh, well, there you go.
Giving it to the Catholics. Number three. Who won the World Cup?
Brazil.
Correct.
Oh, well done. That fucking DVD. God damn it.
I'll bring it over to your house the next time I come over.
Right.
And fourth and final question. Who released the song I Swear?
Oh, Boys to Men, wasn't it?
No, it was not Boys to Men.
That's a common misconception, isn't it? Yes, it was. Oh, well, I've still won that bloody DVD.
Congratulations. 2 out of 4. DVD comes to you, and I'll make the quiz slightly more difficult next time.
Oh, I like that. Maybe we should do quizzes going forward. That sounds fun.
The quiz of 1994. And notable deaths, just while I've got them here. Peter Cushing was the most notable for our purposes. Raul Julia from Street Fighter, the movie. Cesar Romero, who was Batman in the 1960s Batman TV series. And Kurt Cobain.
Oh,
also George Papard or Hannibal Smith from the A-Team.
Oh, there you go. A lot of notable deaths.
Couple more. There's loads more. There's loads in 1994. 1994 was a bleak year for celebrity deaths.
Well, now let's not depress our viewers and listeners enough because they're going to get depressed by listening to this, synopsis of the movie.
So that was all I've really got for 1994, given that we've covered it at length. We've gone regular news, weekly world news, and now I've quizzed you to death on it.
Yes, you have. Right. You are banned from ever choosing anything from 1994 for at least 2 months.
I want to watch Stargate.
Okay, right. So we've done your scene set and whatever else. So now this was an interesting one. I thought about this long and hard, and then I think I've come up with the answer. But how old were you when you first saw this, and how did you see it? Was it cinema, video, TV? Where was it?
Video. Very clearly remember buying this on VHS from the HMV in Bexley Heath. I remember it clearly. I remember the VHS copy of it that I had. I did not see it at the cinema. I saw the sequel at the cinema. I remember that very clearly, but I did not see the first one at the cinema. Got it on VHS and watched it to death. How about you?
just before I go on to me, but when did you buy it? Did you buy it like the minute it was available on
Oh yeah,
VHS?
I would have
Yeah, yeah.
bought it. I would have probably bought it the year it was released. So that
Okay.
would have been 1995.
Yeah, I was trying to work this out because it came out in America in February 94. We got it in
Mm.
April 94, which means it would have been out to rent like October time and presumably to buy that Christmas or maybe just before. So you probably got it around about then. So for me, I distinctively remember being really sick. I had a really bad chest infection in like October, November 1994. Had to take a day off school, and which I never did because I was one of those kids who never took days off school when I was at primary school. And to make me feel better, my mum rented me out a couple of videos from the video shop. One was the 1958 version of The Fly with Vincent Price, which I was really happy about. Really wanted to see that.
That's a random thing to give to a 9-year-old.
Well, it's because I love the Jeff Goldblum one, and I was way too young to be watching that. But I was told there was an original, so I really wanted to see it. So my mum rented me that out, and she rented me out Ace Ventura. She said, "Oh, this was in the new release section. It's meant to be really good," and she rented it out for me, and I watched it. So yeah, that was a great way to spend a couple of sick days watching an old movie and a very inappropriate movie for a 9 or 10-year-old. So there you go. Yeah, cool. And then subsequently watched it many, many, many times when it came on Sky. I've never owned it though, so I had to watch it recently on Netflix, which I was pleased about because I didn't have to pay any money for it.
So I do own it. I owned it on VHS for years and years and years, and now I own it on DVD. But I also watched it on Netflix because I don't have my DVD copy to hand.
Right.
Luckily, I didn't have to pay for it again.
Well, hang on a minute. How are you supposed to gift me that DVD if you can't even find it?
Oh, God, no, I know where it is.
No, don't, please, don't. I'll save you the trouble.
No, no, I know where it is. It's in a lockup.
Oh God, it's like a wooden spoon prize, isn't it?
It's the only thing. It's the only thing in the lockup. It's just a whole lockup unit with one DVD of Ace Ventura in the middle because I don't want it in my house.
Just lying on the floor.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Shall we move into this plot? I guess it has more of a plot than Suburban Commando did, but yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. So for some reason, I got it in my head this was New Line Cinema, but it's not. It's Morgan Creek, and then it's the same tune that Robin Hood starts with. I was like, why about to watch Robin Hood Prince of Thieves? Like, oh no, that's just the theme tune for Morgan Creek. So yeah, not New Line Cinema.
You thought you were in for a decent couple of hours, but oh no.
I don't know. I think we should cover Robin Hood because I've not watched that in years, and I've got a feeling I'm going to hate it second time round. Not second time round.
I didn't like it back when I was younger. I think my mum loved it.
I loved it, but then
nothing's gonna put you off a film more than your mum liking it.
Yeah, true. My mum loves that film as well. Maybe it's just a mum movie. Who knows?
I think it's a Kevin Costner thing. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Ace Ventura. So we get Ace Ventura is walking along the street dressed as a delivery man, and he's kicking around a box with glass inside and doing sort of handstands and cartwheels and all that sort of stuff. Like, okay, interesting.
So yeah, I was watching this bit. At this moment, I was chuckling away, and I thought, you know what? I think I might be in for a decent 86 minutes here. This is fairly humorous stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see if that keeps up or if it goes massively downhill the minute he opens his fucking mouth.
Yes, let's. So, yeah, Ace then arrives at someone's apartment and a bloke opens the door. And I was like, is that the guy from Naked Gun 33 and a Third? The one who's going to bump Leslie Nielsen?
Randall Tex Cobb. He was also from Raising Arizona, more famously.
There you go. But yeah, he's a horrible man. He's got a little dog who mistreats. And whilst he's signing an array of forms, Ace manages to swipe the dog and replace it with a cuddly toy that's exactly like that dog. I'm like, okay.
I remember this so clearly when I was watching it.
Yeah, me too.
I honestly haven't seen this film in years, but it all came flooding back to me.
Yep. Yeah, so we get Ace running to his car, and then that shit man realizes it's a toy, and then Ace has left a card saying you've been had. Ace Ventura's like, why would you leave a card? Apart from just taunting him, you just told him who's done that. Silly.
It's also who's the first time he says "alrighty" then is roughly around about now.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm sure he said it in when he's talking to him.
I think he said, yeah, all right, then you have yourself a good day or something like that. And then
so that was an ad-libbed line from Jim Carrey. So one of his stand-up characters said "alrighty then," and so he decided to, or one of his sketch characters, so he decided to use that and overuse it, I would dare say, during the run of the film. I think he says it about 8 times.
He does, but yeah, careful, you're going to end up using all your Spiff trivia throughout this.
No, don't worry, I've got other stuff.
Okay. Yeah, so Ace gets to his car, and then that shit man arrives and starts destroying his car with a baseball bat. And then we get a reference of a better movie. Ace Ventura says, "Warning: arseholes are closer than they appear." When he looks in the wing mirror, I was like, "Don't reference Jurassic Park. What? Don't do that." It's kind of a funny line. Just don't do it, though.
Yeah, it's a crime that films make all the time. Bad films always make the crime of referencing better films. It's like, don't. It's not going to make anyone look on you favorably. All you're doing is reminding people of what they could be watching instead of wasting their life with this.
Indeed. But it does explain a bit because I always wondered why Ace Ventura drives with his head out the car. I thought he was just being an arrogant dickhead. I was like, oh, this makes sense because this guy's completely smashed his windscreen. I was like, I must have just completely missed that part. The first 10 times
no money. He has no money to fix his windscreen because he's got to spend it all on pet food.
Yeah, there you go. And the car won't start, but then suddenly he does, and he goes, "It's alive! It's alive!" That actually made me laugh. Frankenstein reference. Drives yeah, I don't know, it made me laugh. Not much made me laugh in this movie, but that did.
Film made me tired. Made me very tired.
Yeah. Yeah, it made me tired, actually. When did I watch it? Friday night, and I couldn't wait for it to finish so I could go to bed.
I watched it Saturday night. A lovely Saturday evening I had. Watching Ace Ventura. And 86 minutes has never felt longer.
No, I know. In fact, there was deleted scenes of this movie as well. It could have been a hell of a lot longer. Anyway, so yeah, he drives away with that shit man on the back of the car and it bites his hand and it makes him fall off. And yeah, as I said, Ace will then drive the car for the remainder of the film with his head stuck out of the window. The dogs return to a 90s hot woman who repays him with, I can only assume, is fellatio. And I'm like, wait, isn't this supposed to be a kid's film? She says to him, do you want me to take your pants off? And it just disappears off screen.
So you know she's sexy because the saxophone music starts the minute she appears on screen, and they pan up her legs so until they get to her face. So she's definitely sexy. Also, you know she's sexy because her credited role in the credits is sexy woman.
Yeah,
that's the character's name. So the misogyny in this film starts really fucking early.
It does. Isn't she supposed to be a porn star or a playmate in real life or something?
She was a model. I don't think she was a porn star. I think she was a model. I looked her up earlier.
Okay, but yeah, she repays Ace with oral sex. Then we get some sinister blokes with their faces unseen, and they're at the Miami Dolphins football ground, and then one of them has a very particular ring on his hand. And I might add, that's a very manly hand that has that ring. So we'll see where that goes for the rest of the movie. But yeah, and then the sinister blokes drug Snowflake the dolphin and then kidnap in a van. It's like, oh no, Snowflake! Then what? Oh yeah, then we get back at Ace's apartment, and as you said earlier, he's carrying loads of pet food with him, and we meet his landlord Hector Salamanca, and he
was going to say, I've got that written down. Hector Salamanca.
If you ever go back to old 90s movies, Hector Salamanca is in everything. And who's the other? Tuca Salamanca's in loads of shit as well because he's in Under Siege and stuff like that.
Alien Resurrection, I think he's in.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, landlord wants his rent money and he accuses Ace of keeping pets in his apartment. And he's like, no, this pet food is for fibre. And then Ace points out that, look, you'll get your rent money soon because I'm looking for a white albino pigeon and it's worth $25,000. I was like, wonder if this will come back later in the movie. And then the thing that annoyed me, like, he opens the apartment so the landlord can come in and take a look. I was like, why hasn't he noticed there's a cat flap on the fridge? Like, why wouldn't you question that immediately? That's really weird. Why have you got that? You know?
Yeah. Also, animals smell. Smell.
It'd fucking reek
Penguins
there,
in particular fucking honk. If you've ever been to a penguin enclosure at a zoo,
they do.
Disgusting creatures.
There'd be poo everywhere.
It was roughly about this point where Hannah, who I was watching it with, turned to me and said, "Is he going to be like this all the way through?" I said, "Yeah," and she kind of went,
"Yeah," because he starts already when he shuts the door on the land. He goes, "He's here." I was like, "Oh, he's going to keep doing that."
Yeah, God, he's going to keep doing that.
Yeah, and then he whistles, and all the animals flock to him. And as you said, there's absolutely hundreds of the bastards. It's like, well, at least you've trained them well to hide. But so,
if he can't afford to pay his rent and buy all of this animal food, don't be going around giving away services for blowjobs. That's no way to run a business.
No, it's not. And also, why has he got all those animals? I thought the point of him was to rescue them and deliver them back to their owners. Or these just like strays?
He also steals them. I think he's probably a deviant. Criminally, if not sexually. I think he's doing terrible things, that capuchin monkey.
Well, he does make a reference to it later on. I think she says, like, you love animals. He goes, only when it's really cold. So, yeah, maybe.
Well, there you go. It's not endearing. He is, all the way through this, exceptionally creepy.
Yeah.
Like, there is something off about him. Not in a kind of charming, funny way. Just in he's the kind of person you'd avoid at a supermarket.
Yeah,
you'd see him come in and you'd be like, "Oh no, he's going to talk
this
to me.
Guy.
He's definitely going to fucking talk to me, and it's going to be some nonsense about pigeons."
Or when you're on a bus and there's only like one seat next to you, and you see someone coming up the stairs. Oh no, please.
Yeah, no, don't. He's going to sit right next to me.
Yeah, that'd be him.
And he's going to think he's the funniest man in the world, but he's just a goon.
Funny.
Except not funny.
Yeah, I don't. Ace. Who the hell is called Ace? Nobody's
to Mr.
called
and
Ace.
Mrs. Ventura, a son, Ace.
I mean, Ventura's
No.
a real surname. Jesse Ventura. Yeah.
That's not
Actually,
his real name.
nah, it's not his real name.
It's not his real fucking name. Nobody's called Ventura. Actually, no, that's probably completely unfair. There's probably lots of people called Ventura.
Yeah, if you're called Ventura, please hashtag us and hit us up on social media.
Yeah, tell me how offensive I'm being.
Very. Right, so we're back at the Miami Dolphins head office, and we meet Melissa, played by Courtney Cox, and she's the Miami Dolphins publicist. And we meet Roger, who's the head of operations, and their boss, who you only ever see once, and I think his name is Riddle, that I read from IMDb. I was like, okay. And he's angry with them for the Dolphins mascot getting stolen ahead of Super Bowl Sunday, and they better find it or they're going to find other jobs. Like, and this guy completely disappears. You don't see him again. I was like, who is this fucking guy? Is he like the chairman of the Miami Dolphins or something?
So Coach Padacta, which is
that's Roger.
Terrible fucking name. Is Roger Padacta? Yeah, is Troy Evans, who is the third time he's appearing on this podcast. He was a rival team coach in Teen Wolf. And he was one of the two cops at the bird bath where they find the bird bath, the body in the bird bath in Lawnmower Man.
Well, I never.
So it's the third time he's appeared on this podcast.
Yeah. We did have a time when, for some reason, we kept on talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. It was almost like,
yeah. We're never going to talk about it regularly because the film is terrible.
No. Oh, okay. Well, let's do that. Every time we get repeat actors, even if they're bit part character actors, let's call it that.
Well, it's our second run round with Jim Carrey.
Yes, isn't it? This is your bloody doing, not mine.
I'm destroying my own childhood one film at a time, mate.
You are. Yeah, and then Roger thinks that it's animal rights who's done this, and then they get talking to the receptionist.
Goddamn animal rights activists. Yeah, those bastards.
Terrorists.
Oh, they're wrong uns, aren't they? Wanting ethical treatment of animals. Breaks.
I know. How do they sleep at night? Yeah. But
surrounded by fucking animals.
Yeah, like Ace Ventura. And then they get talking to the receptionist, and she suggests they use a pet detective because she used one before. And they're like,
convenient secretary with a lot of information. Oh, I'm just listening into your conversation like a nosy cow. Why don't I tell you about this thing that's going to help you solve your case?
And also, there's a world of difference between like a missing cat or a dog and a fucking dolphin. Like a cat and a dog might be near a tree or something. Where are you going to find a dolphin?
I think a dolphin's probably easier to find because someone's going to have to physically move a dolphin and have a lot of equipment to look after it. Cat can be fucking anywhere.
Yeah, true. At least a dolphin is only going to be in water, isn't it? So you just
more likely, if the cat's gone missing, it's got hit by a car, someone's chucked it in a bin.
Yeah, generally how you dispose of cats. Right. Yeah. So then Ace is on top of a roof and he's trying to get that $25,000 pigeon and he falls off a roof and then he gets a page message and I've written down page. Remember those kids? It's like, no, you don't. You don't know what a page messenger is at all, do you? A pager.
I decided at this point that the art of pet detecting actually includes being very loud and mugging a lot.
Yeah. Surely if you were trying to catch like a pigeon or something, you do it with a net, not just trying to get it with your bare hands on top of a roof.
All you're going to do is you're going to catch that pigeon, you're going to fall off a roof and you're going to kill that pigeon.
Yeah. But yeah, he falls off like a sack of shit and doesn't die. And then we get Ace heading over to the Miami Dolphins headquarters and then parks his car with their leg and glove line, which gets used and abused in the second film. This is the only time he says it in this movie. I was like, oh, thank God for that.
Yeah, I kept waiting for that to come back around again. And I was like, I'm sure he says it more than once, but yeah, it must be the sequel.
No, the sequel does it. Ace meets Melissa and he's briefed about Snowflake and shown a video. And then I always remember, it's the bit where he's eating the sunflower seeds, right?
Yeah.
I remember that being flies for some reason. He was just like pulling their wings off and shit. And I was thinking, why is he eating flies?
That's because you're an insane person.
I don't remember that at all. But
I thought as a kid that's how you had to eat sunflower seeds.
No, that's the joke because my wife eats a lot of weird fruit and shit. And she was like, that is a completely wrong way of eating them. I was like, how does one eat them? I don't know. I think there's an art to eating them. But,
well, the ones I buy are already out of the shell, which makes it a damn sight easier, let me tell you.
Yeah, lazy.
Also, this is the point where there is no redeeming qualities to him as a character, right? He is obnoxious to everyone he meets.
Mm-hmm.
He is arrogant. He is annoying. He's just met this woman who's hiring for a job and he's putting shit all over her desk and being a prick to her. And it's like, right, what's your problem, guy?
Yeah. And she offers him an ashtray. He goes, no, I don't smoke, so don't you have it? And he's got all the sunflower seeds in his teeth. So you're such a prick. Such a prick. Then he meets Roger, and then he wants to inspect the tank where Snowflake was stolen from. And then for some reason starts doing Star Trek impressions. I'm like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, was that a bang up-to-date reference in 1993? Because I don't think it was.
And even if it was, it would have been New Generation. It wouldn't have been Spock
I don't think
and Kirk and Captain Cock.
Cock and Spurk. It's the rip-off version of.
I watched a completely wrong series.
Yeah, I've been watching Star Trek and Cock and Spurk.
Bra Trek.
Boned McCoys.
Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah,
Um,
sorry. He's doing Star Trek impressions very badly. I'm like, but why are you doing? What's this got to do with anything?
Yeah, It's yeah. This is the point, and I'll come back to this. There's a bit. Actually, no, I'll leave it until we get to the bit later. But
Okay.
I had a very big question about the way this man behaves, and I will come back to it. But at this point, I was watching him like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing it? Why are you referencing a TV show that hasn't been on in well over 15 years?
And also, is he mugging to like Melissa, or is he mugging to himself? Like, who exactly are you talking to?
All right, you know what? I'll cover it now. When there's a spoof, I get it, right? A spoof is parody, it's send up, it's for the audience, right? When there's other characters on screen, I get it because you're doing stuff for them. Who the fuck is he doing?
I know what part you're going to talk about later.
Who is he doing this for?
Exactly. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense. There's no internal logic. Why is he fucking about?
Unless they're just trying to get
mentally unwell.
Yeah, which they kind of explore horribly later on. So yeah. Then reporters arrive and Roger's annoyed, and then Ace finds a red stone in the tank's filter. So, okay, you've got a lead, something to go on. And then he heads to the police station to speak to Emilio, who's like his only friend in the police station, which isn't really explored because everyone else in the police station thinks Ace is a complete fucking joke, and they're all making fun of him all the time.
Yet he is allowed to wander into a police station with impunity and just start chatting and doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, because he gets into a fight with Aguado because Aguado steps on a bug and starts being like, oh, what are you going to do about it? They start giving shit to each other. And he just like slams him down to the ground. Like, sure, you'd be arrested for doing that.
Yeah, you've just assaulted a police officer. You're nicked.
Yeah. Oh, and then another annoying trait. He does that annoying laugh. And that won't be the first time he does that either. Oh, Jesus, he's annoying in this film.
So his mate Emilio, Tone Lock, who is not an actor, he's a rapper.
Yeah.
He's one of the best things in this film because he's quite funny. Good. He's quite likable. He's quite enjoyable to watch. And you just watch him like, more of him, please.
Yeah. Oh, this bit was funny because Jim Carrey appears. He's got his arse running. So he goes, excuse me, I'd like to ask you a few questions. Just starts talking about him through his arse. And Tone Lock is just completely buying it. He's not cracking up laughing or whatever. It's really funny.
It's the problem. I did chuckle a bit at that. The problem with it is I chuckled a bit at it, and then it went on for another minute.
Oh yeah, because then he's like, "Oh yes, I'm going to make a stink," and it's like rocking around in his chair and stuff. Like, if you just left it and I want to ask you a question, that would have been funny. But yeah, he does keep going on and on and on. Yeah, and Emilio tells him that Aguado's working the case, and the dolphin case is not a high priority because who cares? They got other shit to deal with.
I question this as well. The theft of the Miami Dolphins mascot would be high priority because it would have media attention and it's American football, which they give a fuck about, especially in the lead up to the Super Bowl, which is the biggest game of the year. It would be fucking front page news. It wouldn't be like, no, it's just a missing dolphin. It doesn't really matter. We're solving the murder of some crackhead.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I remember years ago, these two arseholes went to Jessica World of Adventures and they stole a monkey called SpongeBob. They put him in their backpack and ran off with him. And
I didn't, and you can't prove that I did.
no, it definitely wasn't you. He was returned safely.
Quiet, SpongeBob.
And then he went to a lab run by Pierce Brosnan, mind control. But no,
and then he bit Cillian Murphy, and we all died of rage virus. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Oh, SpongeBob. No, but yeah, that made mainstream news. So yeah, you're right. Actually, if SpongeBob the monkey from Jessica World of Adventures makes news, then Snowflake the dolphin's going to make news. Fair enough. Yeah, and then Emilio says, "Yeah, we got no leads on the case whatsoever." And then this is where we meet Lieutenant Lois Einhorn.
Sexy sax woman, learn.
Yeah,
sexy sax woman. Here she comes. She's a woman. She's getting sexy sax woman. She's fucking terrible in this film.
Yeah, my wife said that. She goes, "Is she deliberately acting awful?" She's like, "What is he doing in here?"
Yeah, it's noticeably bad. I think, not to give away the twist, I think she was intentionally deepening her voice. It seems like she was.
Yeah.
But good God, I think Hannah made a point of this, was like, is she struggling to pitch her performance because Jim Carrey is so big? Everybody's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Yeah, probably.
I can't just be normal. I have to do something. I don't know, but she just feels like she's just shouting every line of dialogue.
But it's so weird because you see her in Blade Runner. She's great in Blade Runner. I'm like, why are you so
One of the best things in that film in this is like she couldn't give a shit. She probably couldn't. She's probably there for the pay. They're for the paycheck.
Yeah. And then we get the first foreshadowing because Jim Carrey goes, "Holy Testicle Tuesday." You're like, And then, Lois is angry that Ace is at the police station and pretty much just tells him to stay away from the case. Then there's a really strange bit. Ace goes to a Cannibal Corpse gig, right?
Yeah.
So you don't know Cannibal Corpse are, they're a death metal band. And he goes downstairs to speak to his friend Woodstock, who's in some hidden room. I was like, what? First of all, why are you friends with this guy? What's this guy's fucking deal? What's he monitoring?
I'd completely forgotten about this bit.
Me too.
Until I was like, it came back to me, but I was watching like, what the fuck is this? What film is this from? Woodstock does not appear again in the rest of the film.
He's in a deleted scene though.
He also made the artistic choice to shout every line of dialogue he has. Everybody's shouting in this. There was a lot of shouting happening. It's weird. Also, it's that thing what 90s films thought computers could do. Oh, we're just sending these whaling ships off on a completely different course. Like, no, you can't do that from a fucking basement at a metal club. Shut up.
Yeah, and why? Who do you work for? The government? Like, are you just
I think he's just trying to save the whales, mate. Which is a noble endeavour.
So presumably that's how him and Ace are friends, because they both have animals' welfare at heart. I don't know. Who cares? But Ace wants to see who's been buying anything aquatic to help with a big, large mammal like a dolphin, and then they trace it to billionaire Ronald Kemp, who's affiliated with the Miami Dolphins, and conveniently tonight he's throwing a party. So yes, Ace decides to go with Melissa so he can search the party venue. I'm sure that nothing will go wrong at all. There will be no shenanigans whatsoever. So they arrive at the party, and I must say, Courtney Cox is hot as shit in this film. She's very nicely dressed. Hair looks nice, because in those early seasons of Friends, her hair looked a bit daft or whatever. No, she looks really, really nice in this movie.
Pete Cox.
Yeah. Yes.
She was a Pete Cox at this point.
Yeah, she was. The Jim Carrey's wearing a white shirt, but a white tux and all that. And
it's like someone invited a hyperactive child to a party. He is insufferable in this bit. Insufferable.
I don't know, this bit was quite funny. She goes, "Oh, don't do anything to embarrass me." He's like, "Well, like this." Starts doing that, and then immediately stops when the guy opens the door. And then he starts making some weird nautical references to this guy because he looks like a sea captain or something.
I think it's a reference to a TV show. I don't know which one. I would imagine it's going to be like McHale's Navy or Down Periscope or something like that. Or Up Periscope, whatever the show is called. It's going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those.
Right. So then Melissa and Ace are at the party, and they talk to Ronald Camp, and then Melissa pretends that Ace is a lawyer and calls him Tom Ace. All right, that's the thing.
Why not just believe that?
Why not just say his real name? What does it fucking matter? Well, then, anyway, so at this point,
he's a complete dick, right? In this party, it's like someone invited a child or a complete dick. Like he's just walking around just like. There's the guy with the string quartet, and he just goes and knocks his arm, and it's like, apparently that was ad libs. Brilliant. No, it's comedy, is it? Being an absolute knob.
And he's doing shit like eating the food and doing all the seafood to people so they can see his tongue. I was like, why are you doing this? And then he says to Ronald, where he insinuates that everyone could be poisoned here because of the food and drink at the party. I was like, God, you're just completely ruining this party for no reason. Especially when you find out later that Ronald's got nothing to do with Snowflake. I was like, yeah, cheers. You just completely destroyed this party.
That's Udo Kier playing Camp.
Where have I seen this dude before?
So you have probably seen him in Blade.
Yes. Yeah, he's the guy who they melt, don't they, on the beach?
Yeah. But he's also in the original Suspiria and a lot of sort of 1980s, 1970s giallo horror. And then later into sort of more independent fare.
There you go. Yeah, at this point, Ace excuses himself to the bathroom, believing the party food is giving him the shits. And this is probably what you were talking about, right? Unless it wasn't.
Yeah. No, this is exactly the bit I was talking about. Who the fuck is he fucking about for?
This whole bit, you suddenly get the Mission Impossible music, and then he starts, if you're watching me on YouTube, he starts doing all that, playing his arms around, and then climbs out the window, then he's shimmying along stuff and all that sort of thing, just to go through a door into where the sea tank is. I was like, but there's nobody around. Why are you doing this? You're just mugging to the camera. What is all...
It doesn't make any sense.
It's not even funny. Sense. It's not like he does it and then stacks himself and really hurts himself. That would have been funny. It's like he's just literally just being a prat to no one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also, just to go back, we're talking to Camp, and Camp has drinking this glass of red wine that looks like absolute shit. It looks like Ribena. It's like bright red.
Well, maybe
awful.
it was Ribena. They don't give actors real
When
wine.
they talk about it, he's like, oh, it's a good vintage. I don't know. It doesn't look like a good vintage, mate. It looks terrible.
Yeah, don't want
Wouldn't
you
feed it on my dog.
You shouldn't feed wine to a dog. But anyway.
No, you're right, actually.
Yeah.
Good pet ownership. Don't feed wine to a dog.
No. Then Ace thinks he's found Snowflake because there's a giant tank in this room, but alas, it's a huge fucking shark, and it essentially tries to kill Ace once he falls in. He's like, "It's not Snowflake! It's not Snowflake!" As it's pulling him around. It's like, yeah, you'd be dead. You'd be absolutely dead. It would pull you to the bottom of that tank and kill you.
I mean, that tank wasn't big enough for that shark anyway.
No, and
it makes no sense.
And why was he keeping a shark now? We know he's like some sort of, marine enthusiast or something. Like,
yeah, and also, why is he keeping a shark in a tank where you can't see the shark?
Yeah, it's a bit cruel with the shark, really, isn't it? Yeah, that made no sense. But yeah, so that's a red herring. You think it's going to be a Snowflake, but it's not. It's just a shark. Ace comes out of the bathroom, almost murdered. Trousers all ripped up, and it's soaking wet. And he's like, "Oh, don't go in there!" Like insinuating he's farted, and then hits his pocket and soaks a vest. Soaks a vest. Soaks a guest. And this bit,
what's his pocket lined with?
Yeah, I can only imagine there was a water balloon in there or something. But yeah, practically, why? Why wouldn't it all just seep out of his pocket?
Yeah,
I don't know. And then Melissa and Ace leaves, and he blames the plumbing like that. He suggests, "Well, I was drinking from there. I could have drowned," or something like that.
No, I think the line, because this is one of the lines that actually did make me laugh. Like, if I'd been drinking for the toilet, I might have been killed.
Yeah, that was it. Kent believes it was. Oh, I'm ever so sorry about that. He didn't do anything wrong. And then for some reason he kisses Camp's hand goodbye. But at this point he knows he's got a very distinct ring on his finger, so he's trying to have a look at it and being really rough. And like, what the hell was that all about? And then we get back to Melissa's house, and Ace explains his theory that ring is probably a ring where that missing stone came from that he found earlier on. And he thinks it's linked to the 1984 Dolphin AFC Championship ring. And he believes that if he finds the ring with the missing stone, he will find out who's taken Snowflake. So, okay, solid detective work, but let's see how that works out for you.
I assume if you're a fan of the Miami Dolphins, there's a lot more to be gained from this film than if you're not.
Yeah,
because I looked.
Sorry,
go on.
No, go on.
No, you go. No, you go.
I was going to say, the only that I'm aware of, correct me if I'm wrong, American football fans, the only confirmed player was Dan Marino. Like later on when we meet Ray Finkel, was Ray Finkel actually a player? Or is that just something they made up for this movie?
Ray Finkel was made up. So I looked into this. So I went back and had a look and said, right, what was Super Bowl 17, right? So who was in Super Bowl 17? And it was the Miami Dolphins. They lost to the Washington Redskins. Mm-hmm. But not because of the kick heard around the world. If you Google the kick heard around the world, it's the first thing that comes up is Ace Ventura. So Ray Finkel is not a real person. And Dan Marino wasn't playing for the Miami Dolphins in Super Bowl 17. He would have been old enough. He was in his 20s, but he wasn't playing for the Miami Dolphins at that time.
Yeah, that bugged me because that would be 10 years later, and he looked kind of youthful. I was just like, but why would he still be playing 10 years later?
Definitely, I don't think you'd be having the same star quarterback 10 years after the fact. Now, I assume that everybody else we see that's related to the team as a player is an actual player. Now, I don't know a lot about American football because I'm British, and British people who watch American football are stupid. I will
die on that hill.
I'll die on that hill. Why do you care? Why are you watching it? Stop it. New York Giants are my team. No, they're not. Come from Swindon.
Yeah, but it's like people from America go, I support Manchester United. Like, but why? I get annoyed when people from London support Manchester United. Anyway. Anyway, go on.
I assume the rest of the people that we see as players are actual players. And if you are a fan of the Miami Dolphins or American football in general, you get a lot more by going, oh, is that guy? Oh, is that guy?
Yeah, because this montage is quite funny. So assuming those were the actual players, that's quite good gags if it was actually them. Because we get a montage of not necessarily written in order, but it's like he's trying to get people to show the rings one way or another so he can check if there's a stone missing. So first guy cuts up someone on the road, so he gives him the middle finger so he can check his ring. Then the one that made me laugh, he's hiding in a post box. And when someone puts a letter in, he grabs his hand and he's got a lighter and he's inspecting the ring with a monocle, which I thought was good. The next problematic one, which could have been funny, but they went too far. He's having a piss and he looks over at someone's ring, but the guy next to him thinks he's looking at his dick, and initially he looks like horrified, and then he just sort of smiles. Right now, if they just left it at that,
left
that
it there,
fine.
That's funny.
Yeah, but instead Jim Carrey zips up his trousers, walks off, and then the guy sort of minces after him.
Yeah.
Like, oh, why did you have to do that?
So you know he was gay because you might have got the wrong idea and thought he was just smiling, but you had to know he was gay, so he had to do a little mincy run. It's like, yeah, God.
Okay. Terrible. Awful. And then someone else is trying to keep up with him running on a running track until finally he just chloroforms him with a rag and then ejects his ring. Someone else is in a shower and he flacks his ass with a towel, so he gets punched in the face, and then he's checking the scar on his forehead if it's the ring. And what was the last one? And the last one is he's dressed up as a nerd at an autograph signing so he can take a look at the guy signing his autograph. So, but why did you have to dress up as a nerd? You could have just gone along. Oh no! And there's another one. He does an arm wrestling competition wearing a fake beard. So, but why are you wearing that fake beard?
No one knows who you are.
Daft. I don't know whether he's like, oh, but if people see me around the Miami Dolphins headquarters, they're going to know who I am, so I've got to be in disguise. I don't know. Who knows? Then we cut to Melissa's garden, and Ace is all dejected that he hasn't found the ring, because amongst that montage, he's crossing off all the players that he's checked, and it looks like he's checked absolutely everyone, so it's like his theory's gone to shit. And then Ace starts giving Melissa a load of shit about her dog and how she's mistreated him. I was like, no, she isn't. He seems perfectly happy. And then he's really mean. He calls her fat and ugly.
Yeah, I've got that. He's called her fat and ugly in the space of 30 seconds. She is neither of those things.
Neither. On the contrary. Then I think he must feel bad because he goes in to speak to her. Sorry, go on.
Even if she were, that's just uncalled for. He's an absolute knob.
Yeah, you're not exactly an oil painting, Jim Carrey. Fuck off.
No.
You know. Anyway, so he must feel bad because he goes in to speak to her, but then she's got a phone call to hear that Roger has been found dead. His apartment block.
See, I forgot this bit. I thought he was in this film much more than he actually is.
Yeah, I thought he was, because I thought this bit with the apartment block is just about something else. I couldn't remember it being about a murder or something. But yeah, so Melissa and Ace have gone to the apartment block, and he's supposedly committed suicide by jumping off his balcony, even though he seemed perfectly rational before any of this happened, you know?
Suicide as a plot point in a family comedy.
There's loads of questionable stuff in this film. I swear when it came out in England, I think it initially might have been a 15 at the cinema, and then when it came out on video, it was a 12. I don't know. I might be remembering that wrong. I don't know. Because I think Forrest Gump did that. I think it was a 15 at the cinema, and then it got lowered to a 12 on video. Or Philadelphia was. It was one of the two. I can't remember.
And Mrs. Doubtfire was a 12 at the cinema and got lowered to a PG on video.
No, it should definitely be a 12. There's some very, raunchy stuff in Mrs. Doubtfire and a lot of swearing as well. So I would have said keep that as a 12. Anyway.
And also not a policeman wandering into an active crime scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Why fucking feels like he's not a policeman. Why's she been let in? Courtney Cox shouldn't even be allowed in there. She's his mate. Just like, if you get murdered, for example, I'm not going to be able to come traipsing into your house.
No, even neighbours of the apartment block would be told to get out of the building or something while they dusted for fingerprints and whatever else. And, crime scene investigation. Who knows? Anyway. I've put that. Ace somehow got himself into the apartment, and we overhear that a neighbour heard a scream coming on from the apartment earlier. And then Ace is inspecting the apartment, and that's when Einhorn arrives, and then that's when he does that annoying laugh again. And again, she's shouting like, "What's he doing here?" Oh, and then he inspects the balcony and he points out to Einhorn there's blood all over the railing of the balcony. So, I do know what I'm talking about. This is shoddy police work. And he gives his theory about what's happened, which is basically Roger was murdered and not committed suicide. And then he proves that you can hear the scream, because if that woman had heard the scream and the balcony door was shut, she wouldn't have been able to hear that scream if the balcony door was open. So he does that thing where he goes outside going, oh, oh, opening and closing the apartment door. But I think it goes on for so long, it stops being funny. Like, if you'd just done it for 5 seconds,
but not long enough
funny.
So that it starts to become funny again. That's a rule of comedy. You either do something short and it's funny, or you do it very long and it's funny. Anywhere in between, it's just badly pitched.
Yeah, I think he doesn't even just leave it at that. Then he starts going like, yes, can you feel it? And then for some reason he starts doing that, oh, I've exorcised the demons, like from Poltergeist. I'm like, why are you doing that?
And why are you all putting up with him? Someone just pistol whip him. Just hit him with something. Just kick him out. He's not a policeman. Arrest him.
Which Sean Young does. He's just like, just get him out of here. I wonder if that was Sean Young, the actress, going, just fuck off. Just get out of this scene. I've had enough. Yeah, and then at this point, Ace thinks that Roger's murder and Snowflake's kidnapping are all connected.
It seems likely, right?
yeah. It's
not just a big old coincidence.
No. They're back at Miami Dolphins headquarters, and Ace is checking the receipts for rings and having some very awkward flirting with Melissa. And then that's when we get the line with, oh, you love animals. He's like, only when it's really cold. And then he tells this story about a dog, but it's just a ruse, just so he can scare her. I thought that bit was weird, but she's not pissed off
Despite the
with him.
fact that her friend's just been murdered,
Yeah,
and he has been nothing but terrible to her for this entire time, she starts falling in love with him.
as you would, But yeah, and at this point,
She's
Ace
a
note
career woman, damn it.
she is.
He's a bum.
But I had to look up what she was because at first I was like, well, hang on, they've said Roger's the head of operations. I'm
It's
like,
like a press officer or something.
she's their publicist. But I had to read that. At no point do they say, oh, this is Melissa Robinson, the publicist.
She doesn't actually have a role in this film.
No.
She's there at the beginning, then she's next to Ace Ventura a bit, and then in the third act she disappears completely.
Yeah, just to come back for the one last scene at the
she
end.
Has nothing to do. Yeah, nothing to do whatsoever.
But at this point, Ace notices there's another photo on the wall, and there's somebody in the team photo they hadn't spotted before.
Somebody clearly superimposed onto a photo.
Yeah.
So, this person seems to have been shot a little bit differently than everybody else. The lighting seems to be different.
And it turns out it was Ray Finkel who joined the team halfway through the season. And that's when we get the exposition about, he missed the goal kick back in 1984 and he cost the Dolphins the Super Bowl and his career went to shit. So Ace is like, now I suspect Finkel. That's when we get there. Shut the fuck up.
This is very, very strange. This just like why he's a pariah that missed the kick heard around the world, but Ace Ventura's never heard of him.
I can only assume Ace Ventura is not a football fan, but he lives in Miami and he already knew earlier on about the 1984 championship ring. So it's kind of
if he knew about the ring, how would he not know about the player, especially a player that famous who would have been on the front page of the news? Now we're living in a different world than then with our 24-hour news cycle, so everything gets blown up into a big news story because people have to fill the air. Back then, probably not necessarily the case, but you'd still know.
Well, yeah. What about when people have missed penalty kicks in the soccer World Cups in England?
They get abused online by absolute pricks. Yeah,
and even before online, it was on the front of the Sun and shit like that. Oh, missed penalty. Thanks a lot. Cost us the game. All that sort of thing. There you go. Then Melissa gives more exposition. Says that Ray Finkel went back to his hometown, and then Ace doesn't think it's safe for her to go back to her apartment. So instead, he takes her to his apartment and bangs her, and it goes on for way too long to the sound of "The Lion Sleeps Tonight." I was like, this is deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah, this is very, very uncomfortable to watch. With all the animals sort of just like watching them. It's weird.
Yeah, it's odd. I remember even as a kid not finding it hot or sexy, where I'd just been like, oh, this is weird. Isn't this a kid's film? Like,
what's happening?
Yeah, whenever it's on TV, they always cut that bit out. I was like, yeah, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Ace makes his way to Ray Finkel's hometown, and there's graffiti everywhere, like home of Ray Finkel. And someone's changed to more like Ray Stinkle. It's kind of funny. It's not something I do. And then everyone hates Ray Finkel because they've even on his house, they've got shit saying like "Die, Ray, die" and all that sort of thing. Like, why are you letting people do that to your house? Paint over it.
You still live there.
Yeah. We get a funny scene that I've always liked. He knocks on the door. He's like, "Hi, I'm looking for Ray Finkel," and a shotgun comes out and a clean pair of shorts.
But that's a funny line. It's a funny line.
And he pretends to be a super fan so the parents can let him in. And then poor Ray Finkel's mother is completely delusional, believing that Ray is back.
Did you recognize the mother?
I did, and I don't know why.
It's the librarian from Ghostbusters.
Ah, there you go. That's two people from Ghostbusters.
Two people, because the mayor's coming up shortly.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. But yeah, that was bugging the shit out. He's like, who is that woman? It's really, really familiar.
Yeah, I was like, it's the librarian from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
The only other thing I know her from.
Yep.
Alice Drummond is the actress's name.
Okay.
There you go. Written that down.
There you go. Next time Alice Drummond comes up, we'll point it out. Right. So Ray's father explained that Ray isn't coming home and his wife is a bit senile. And he said that he went to a mental institution for having like homicidal tendency, but he escaped from that mental institution and they haven't heard from him for 8 years. But the hospital keep calling him to go collect his shit for some reason. Why don't you just throw his shit away?
It's a sensitive portrayal of mental illness.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
It's very sensitive. The way they've dealt with mental illness in this film. It's it's really progressive.
Yes. And it's only going to get worse in a few more scenes. Yeah. Yes. And then Ray's mother explains that it's all Dan Marino's fault because when they put the ball down for the kick, the laces were in and not out. And then she says, Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea right now. It really popped me. What a weird thing to say.
It's the way she delivers it. It's just this nice old lady saying this horrible, horrible stuff.
You die of gonorrhea right now. And then she takes Ace to Ray's old room, and it's become a shrine dedicated to hate towards Dan Marino. It's just like die, dad, die everywhere. There's American football helmets with knives in them and voodoo. No, it's not voodoo dolls. It's like a plush toy with like needles in it, that sort of thing. And then Ace watches the 8mm footage of Finkel missing the kick. I was like, why would you still watch that if you were so tormented by it? At this point, Ace calls Melissa and tells her that Dan Marino's in danger because he's kind of worked out now, well, Ray must be on a mission to try and kill Dan for what happened. And then we get Ace driving like a maniac to go try and rescue Dan.
This is the point where he says, that Ray Finkel did a Claude Rains, which is a reference to the original Invisible Man. But, I mean, why? Who are these references for? It's not a bang-up-to-date reference in 1993, film that came out in the 40s.
Yeah, so let's retrace this, right? So in Ace's mind, we don't know the twist yet, right? So we know Ray Finkel went to a mental institution, but he's escaped.
Yep.
Oh, so is he thinking in his mind, he then came and killed Roger, and now he's after Dan? That's probably his train of thought.
Yeah,
right.
He thinks that Ray Finkel is just out there hiding, waiting to kill Dan Marino.
Yeah, or anyone associated with the Dolphins.
Why he stole the dolphin? Oh, right, it's because they gave the dolphin his number and...
Yeah, I thought that as well. Why did you steal the dolphin? I thought that was the whole point of this movie.
If you stole the dolphin, why didn't you kill the dolphin? Why are you keeping the dolphin alive? To what end are you keeping the dolphin alive? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you're just going to get more people looking for it. Or it'd be more of a threat if they killed the dolphin and delivered it dead on the pitch. You'd be like, right, the rest
they
of you
should have done is taken it out of
it.
its tank on the night the night they kidnapped it, gutted it, and left it on the field. That would have been a real
exactly.
Message.
Yeah, and then blood everywhere, saying you're next Marino or something like that. But yeah.
Well, no, you wouldn't do that because then you know you're coming for him.
Yeah, true.
As it turns out, he's there filming a TV commercial wearing a really ugly fucking waistcoat.
Yeah, it's horrible. 90s fashion.
90s fashion, good God.
And at this point,
everybody's dressed like shit in this film.
They really are. Really are. Especially Ace Ventura. So two blokes dressed as American football players grab hold of him and run off with him, and he doesn't seem that phased about it. He's like, guys, was there a change to the script? And at this point, while Ace is trying to pursue the kidnappers, he runs over two cops. He's like, pet detective coming through. You could have killed those two cops, and even if you didn't, you're surely going to be arrested for this. They're shooting at Ace, and he manages to catch a bullet in his teeth. I'm like, okay, now you're just being silly. Like, come on. I sort of bought into the other shit so far, but this is really stupid now. How have you caught a bullet in your teeth?
When that happened, I was like, all right. What?
Whatever next. Yep. And then Ace completely totals his car, and then that's the end of that chase. They've got away with Dan Marino. Then we cut back to the police station. Einhorn's being asked questions by reporters, and then Ace is in her office, and that's when we get his theory. So he believes that Marino escaped, and now he's after Dan, and he's the one who took the dolphin and all that. And if for some reason Einhorn seems like really into this and really turned on, and starts getting off with Ace, I'm like, why? You really hate this man, and now you're getting off with him. Doesn't make sense.
She's trying to put him off, I think. I don't know.
Maybe. And he says, your gun is digging into my hip. It's like, wonder what you mean. And then Aguado comes in. She tells him to fuck off for some reason. And then she tells Ace again, stay away from this case. It's police business. But he's like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to do this regardless. And then this we get a really, really troubling scene. So Ace goes to Melissa's house and says, you need to commit me. I'm like, oh fucking hell. Like, I can just see exactly where this is going to go. And they're at Shady Acres Mental Institution. And Melissa tells, as you said, the mayor from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, the mayor from Ghostbusters in our second Ghostbusters person that's in this film.
Yeah, she wants her brother, Larry, to be examined, and when in reality it's Ace dressed in a tutu with his hair in disarray, acting like a complete moron. I'm like, oh no, this is so offensive.
Stu, it is a sensitive mental illness. God. I mean, good God.
I mean, this bit, and he starts doing like a slow-mo replay of him playing ball. Oh yeah, because he's under the guise that he's an American football player who's gone a bit crazy or something. So he's doing like...
The weirdest thing is that he's not any different when he's acting like this than he is in the rest of the film.
No, except he's wearing a tutu and his hair's a bit silly.
Yeah, he's exactly the same insufferable knob that he has been for the entirety of the film up to this point.
Yeah,
a kind of man that you would not like to spend more than 2 seconds around. I think there was one of the reviews I read that said that the film has something like the hyperactivity of a 6-year-old, and it's like that's exactly what it's like. It's like hanging around with an annoying child.
Well, I remember when Jim Carrey was at his peak in the 90s, like when he was off the wall in this and off the wall in The Cable Guy and off the wall in Mask. Apparently he had to have like doctors there and professors to calm him down because sometimes he would get so into character they actually had to have people bring him down to reality. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like it's insane.
I think, and judging from his latter position on vaccines, I think Jim Carrey is an idiot who thinks he's smart.
Yeah, no.
Who seems to believe that he knows things about the world when in fact he's just an idiot.
Yeah. Although I remember when Will Smith smacked Chris Rock, they interviewed Jim Carrey about it, and he was actually making some very good points on it. It was just like, well, no, that was terrible what Will Smith did, and if he did that to me, I would have sued him for like $100 million like that. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. Thought in some way or another he might have defended Will Smith for what he did, but no, he didn't. Anyway, so as they're walking around and having a tour, Ace is acting like a complete dickhead in the grounds, all like jumping over fences, dancing with some of the other inmates and stuff. Oh, just stop it. Please stop it. And at this point, the mayor and I need to stop calling the mayor, the doctor and Melissa, they walk off. And then at this point, Ace sees that as an opportunity to go in the storage room and start looking for Ray Finkel's shit. It's like, look, there must be so many patients that are here, right? How are you going to find it? And also, surely there's a point where they just destroy people's stuff.
Yeah.
If Ray Finkel's not been there for 8 years, why are they still going to keep it?
It's right there. It's right where he needs it.
Yep. He goes straight in, and then there's a funny bit when he's treading on bubble wrap and getting all alarmed by it. But then, yeah, he finds immediately a box saying like Ray Finkel on it. Like, yeah, of course it's just there. And then just starts rooting through it. And then as he's trying to hide in a box where people are coming in, but they don't come in for some reason, he finds a newspaper clipping which is explained there was a missing hiker called Lois Einhorn who went missing 8 years ago. And that's when he's like, hang on a minute, what's going on here? So,
yeah. I mean, this bit as well where he's got the crochet dye Dan.
That's it.
Knitting in his box of stuff. Now, I'm not a medical professional, Stu. It might come as some surprise to you, but I don't believe, as part of therapy, you'd be allowing someone who's been committed to continue indulging in their fantasies in that way.
No, and also, why would you be allowed to have a crocheting needle?
Yeah, you wouldn't give him a needle either.
No. Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, presumably, I mean, I've seen it in a deleted scene, but yeah, Ace has spoken to Emilio to say, look, something's going on with Ironhorns, and he's spying on her. And then he starts poking around in her desk, and then Emilio finds a love letter in Ironhorn's desk from Roger saying, oh, thanks for a lovely evening the other night. And then it's like, that's weird. And then leaves Ace a voicemail filling him in. And how we come to the second out of 3 most problematic scenes in this movie. So just done the first with the mental illness, and now we've got this scene.
It goes off a fucking cliff in the second act, in the third act. In the second half, it absolutely just drives off a cliff. I knew this was coming. Hannah hadn't seen it
when you was a kid, or just rewatching it.
Rewatching it now. I was watching it in the bit where he was poking around and he finds the newspaper, and I was like, oh, here it comes. Here it comes.
Yeah, okay.
And I felt myself tighten up because I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. And Hannah had never seen this film before. So she sort of knew what the problem with it was that everybody has.
Mm-hmm.
And oh boy.
Was she disgusted?
Yeah, I was. I mean, the worst thing is, right, this speaks to a lot to the way in which attitudes have changed and the way in which standards have changed over time. It goes without saying, you would not be able to make this film now with this material.
No, you get cancelled.
Almost. Yeah. You just wouldn't. It wouldn't happen, right? It would not go into production as a broad family comedy. It would be, if it got made at all, something very niche, created for a small audience of people that would react very well to it, but would be pilloried and cancelled by the rest of mainstream media, and rightfully so. Back at the time when I first watched this when I was a kid, I had no problem with this.
I had no idea what was going on. I didn't understand.
I didn't understand it. I didn't have a problem with it. And I'd put it out of my mind for most of my life until now when I watch it. And it goes to show you the kind of the way that we've moved on as a society, that this is now seen as being so problematic. Even though, and I will say, and I'm sorry I'm going off on one a bit on this, but some of the
those who haven't seen it, we'll explain what happens in a second. But yeah, continue.
You know what, why don't we explain it first, and then I'll come back to sort of the points I want to make here.
So we get a montage. Ace is in his apartment and he's trying to work out the connection of what Ironhorn's got to do with Finkel, how have they met, what's going on, and that sort of thing. And he's getting all frustrated with his dog, saying, well, look, I haven't got any food because I need to solve this case, blah, blah, blah.
He's mean to his animals.
Very mean. Very mean.
He's petulant. Whenever he gets upset, he lashes out at everybody else. He's just no redeeming features.
No, none. So at this point, it's either a photo or a newspaper clipping of Ray Finkel, the football player, on the floor. The dog settles down to sit down, and the dog's hair covers Ray Finkel's face. And that's when Ace starts looking at the photo and then realizing, oh God, with that hair, he looks like a woman. And then he makes the connection like Einhorn is Finkel, Finkel is Einhorn. Now, if they just left it at that, fine, right? Could have just left it at that. But no. Then he realizes, oh my God, I kissed Ray Finkel, Einhorn, whoever, not long ago, and then rushes to the bathroom. This is when we get a montage of him being sick down the toilet, brushing his teeth, plunging his face so he can be sick some more, burning his clothes, and then showering while crying. And as if that wasn't bad enough, we get the tune of Boy George the Crying Game playing over the top. And I'm just like, oh God, just no, it's so bad.
So look, I don't think even without all of that, it would have been fine. There was a big trope at the time in cinema, and The Crying Game is guilty of it. It's a slightly more sensitive portrayal, but is still guilty of it, of portraying trans people as murderers.
Yeah.
So if you look to Dress to Kill, the Brian De Palma film, similar thing. There is a film called something with it's got Bruce Willis in it. Dead of Night.
Or Colour of Night or something.
Colour of Night, that's the chap.
Yeah.
Colour of Night, yep, same thing. It was a nasty trope of this at the time. And so I was reading about this, and Jim Carrey came up with this sequence.
Oh, he came up with this? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, so he thought that the reaction would be so over the top as to be hilarious and to be so cartoonish that no one could take it seriously. And it's like, well, no, that doesn't wash, right? You're saying that now because you know the reaction that this gets from people, and rightfully so, because it's horrible. And I mean, there was a lot of people that criticized this film at the time for being misogynistic, which it is. It is, and mean-spirited, which it is, and homophobic, which it certainly is. But again, how we've come along as a society, I think, in understanding the issues around trans people is that it's not necessarily homophobia that is the problem here.
Yeah.
It is a completely different categorization of bigotry that this leans into and exploits for comedic purpose, where it is not funny, and it is not the last time it's going to do it. And the next scene where it does it, and we'll get to that, is borderline unwatchable in how unpleasant it is.
Yeah, it's horrendous, but we'll get to it.
Yeah, anyway, sorry, but...
That's all right. No. We had to explore it, and this is why we have shied away from this movie. But we thought, you know what? No, let's cover it, but we're just going to call it out and say that, that scene's bullshit. It's not funny.
You could say it was of the time, and maybe it was of the time, but that's no excuse.
No,
and that is an excuse people use to get away with being awful.
Yeah. But I remember even as a 10-year-old kid not understanding what the fuck was going on. I was like, is he being sick because he just finds her disgusting? Like, what? I didn't realize what, being transgender was or what. I was just like, I don't understand what. I found it more funny just because you see Jim Carrey's ass and he's crying in the shower and he's burning his clothes. That's funny. But once I understood the context, like, oh, no, that's not funny at all. But yeah. Anyway, so also, whenever this is on TV during the day, that bit is completely cut out. It just finishes when he goes, I think it was Einhorn, and then it just cuts to the next scene.
Yeah.
So, we cut to Ace sitting in his car, eating loads of bubble gum, and he's staking out Einhorn's movements. And even he does it again. He goes, gun digging into my hip. He goes, and then shudders, and then they drive off. I was like, you couldn't even just leave it alone then, could you?
No.
We see that Dan Marino has been taken hostage at hideout by the docks, I presume, some sort of yachting docks. And Einhorn arrives, followed by Ace. And then you see Ace really grossly spit all that bubble gum out, ready to eat it later. I was like, that's fucking grim. Just throw it away. This bit's so weird. Einhorn's tormenting Dan Marino. She keeps calling him Dan over and over again. She's grabbing his balls. Then she's getting off of him. Then she's giving him shit about what happened in 1984. There's TVs everywhere showing the Super Bowl footage. How they've got that looped up in 1994, I don't know. And then for some reason, Einhorn kicks a football with the laces out to say laces out. I was like, hey, what, you're proving you can do a kick? What?
Yeah.
This whole bit is so
Dan Marino
weird.
is also no actor. He is bullshit.
He is.
Wooden.
There's one bit that comes up. Ace is trying to infiltrate the place. He gets into a boat and he needs to get over to a ladder. So he gets a little electric fan and he puts it into the water and he makes the boat go along. And I always wondered as a kid, what if that would work? Probably not.
No, it wouldn't.
I've just broke my electric fan by doing that. And then we see two hired goons, and one of them I've written down looks like cut price Nick Nolte. I had to look. I was like, "Is that Nick Nolte? It looks so much like him."
I think his name's Tiny Ron.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is meant to be funny. He was in The Rocketeer.
Yeah. Perhaps that's a movie we should cover.
Anyway. No, it's good. Let's not cover it. It's enjoyable.
Spoiler alert. Anyway. Yeah, it is good. I watched it a couple of years ago during lockdown.
Yeah, me too.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Anyway, so Dan asks them to help, and then they're like, "Oh no, Einhorn's paying us to keep us out of prison." I was like, "Okay, weird." We see that Snowflake is being kept here, and they start tormenting Snowflake by throwing American footballs at it. And Snowflake doesn't look like he's in distress at all. He just looks like he's away the time splashing around, and he promptly splashes them for throwing American footballs at him.
Also, you're throwing a ball at a fish, or at a dolphin. The dolphin can go underwater.
Yeah,
you're not, and an American football would float.
Yeah,
you're not gonna hit it.
No. And then
you misunderstood water
completely. And dolphins do tricks with footballs and shit.
Yeah, they're fine. He's having a great time.
Yep.
They're loving life.
Then, as Ace gets further in, he does this weird Sean Connery impression, like, "Oh, I didn't get invited to the party." Pity. I was like,
"Who's that for?"
But yeah,
what are you talking to?
What are you referencing? Like Thunderbolt? What's that Bond movie where it starts off where he's got the swimming gear over his tux or something? Is that what you're trying to? What?
No, From Russia with Love?
Yeah, it might be From Russia with Love. Oh, I don't know. Why? Why? Who are you talking to? Yeah. Yeah. Ace knocks out Nick Nolte. I can't remember how. I think he just drops a bucket on his head or something. And then
yeah, he drops a bucket on his head.
And then does some other weird laugh thing, which apparently is a throwback to that show he used to be in years ago when he was stand-up comedy.
And Living Colour.
That's the one, yeah. And then he knocks them both out with a swinging hook. I'm like, that would
he would have killed them. Yeah, they would both be dead.
Yeah. We get Ace abseiling in to help Dan for some reason. I was like, where did you get that abseiling stuff from? And you wasn't up a minute ago, you were down. I'm like, what?
You're just fucking about now.
Completely fucking about. So at this point, Einhorn's arrived with a gun and effectively, just giving herself up to Ace. So yeah, this is me doing it. She calls Aguado and asks for backup, and she's blaming Ace for the kidnap of Dan Marino and Snowflake.
Made no sense, right? Because she's encouraging everybody to shoot Ace Ventura. Dan Marino would just be able to say, actually, no.
Yeah, exactly. She didn't say shoot. Oh, wait, unless her plan was to shoot Dan Marino before the cops get there and said Ace did it or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, you're right. That's a plot.
Just the one.
yeah, just the one. Yeah. Emilio conveniently standing by a radio with Melissa because because they're watching the Super Bowl game at this point.
Yeah, they couldn't remembered Courtney Cox was meant to be in this film.
Yeah, she's reappeared. They said, "Oh look, we got to go help Ace." Because they said on the radio that they're at the docks or whatever. Then we get a scene where Ace is crying and she's saying, "No, don't shoot me, shoot him." And Dan's like, "No, don't shoot me, shoot him." And then Einhorn says, "Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to shoot the dolphin instead." Now, in a deleted scene, she does keep trying to shoot the dolphin, and the dolphin takes the gun away from her and then throws it at Ace, and then he misses, and she just grabs it back. I was like, "Oh, it was actually quite a funny scene. I don't know why they cut that out." Yeah, and then Ace starts giving Einhorn shit about buckling under pressure, and at that point, it's got to the bit of the footage where he missed the kick. She's like, "Oh, the laces are in, and she shoots the TV. At this point as well, Ace then makes that horrible remark, "Yeah, well, I have kissed a man." I was like, "Okay,
we're back there, right? You haven't.
Yeah,
but okay.
Yeah,
all right."
And at this point, Ace and Lois are fighting, and already Einhorn fight. I keep calling her Lois. Her name is Lois, but it's Einhorn. He starts ripping at her clothes already. Like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all, and smacking her head into poles and stuff like that.
A bit of they're fighting, and she's winning, and Dan Marino says, having a little trouble with the lady, Ace," and it's like, as if beating up a woman should be so easy.
Yeah. And highly encouraged. Yeah.
Yeah. You shouldn't be having any trouble fighting a woman.
No. Fuck you, Dan. Anyway, and then the cops arrive, and then Einhorn's like, "Yeah, shoot him. And then Melissa then arrives under the ruse that she's taken Emilio hostage. She's like, "Yeah, again, once this is all over, you're going to get arrested for doing this."
Yeah, or you'd have just been shot immediately.
Yeah, there's like 20 of them and one of you or whatever, so yeah. Einhorn's like, "Oh, it's Ace, he did everything," and then this is when we get the third most troubling scene in the film. So
this is uncomfortable to watch.
It's horrible.
Uncomfortable to watch. Like, it is horrible.
It's horrible. So yeah, Ace is presenting his theory to everyone, just telling the audience essentially what we know already.
It's a Sherlock Holmes moment.
Yeah, it's a Sherlock Holmes moment. And as he's trying to prove his point, he's ripping her clothes off. So first of all, he starts off by trying to pull off what's apparently a wig. It's not. That's her hair. Like, okay, never mind.
A man can grow long hair.
Yep. Then he tears off her top to see that she's got a bra and normal breasts. Right. Okay. And then he tears down off her skirt and she's standing there in her knickers, but no bulge. Like, she just looks like a normal woman. At this point, it's like, oh, you've made a terrible mistake. You're making such a fool of yourself. And it's fucking horrible. And she's just letting him do it. She's not even being like, what are you doing? Or something like that. And none of the
Yeah,
cops are even going to stop doing that. Like, everyone's just happy to allow this to
yeah.
happen.
Again, this was apparently ad-libbed by Jim Carrey. This was not ad-libbed, but his idea.
Dreadful. Dreadful idea.
At this point as well, Sean Young who's been terrible all the way through this film. She's awful. Her performance has gone off the rails here. I don't know what she's doing.
Yeah, she's kind of like a quivering wreck by
She's
the
just
end.
like, it's like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah. And then Dan Marino calls Ace over, whispers something in his ear, and then Ace has had the revelation, I know what's going on, and then he turns Einhorn around and shows that she's got a cock in between her legs. So you can see it through, her arse. Like that. And then all the cops just start throwing up as we start hearing the tune from the Crying Game again. I was like, oh God. Just horrible.
I mean, it's making with the whole thing with Ray Finkel and Einhorn it's making the unfortunate trope and just incorrect assumption that transgender identity is in some way related to mental illness, which it isn't. I mean, I'd question whether or not the character is even a trans character because it's all done in some sort of grand revenge plot, which makes no fucking sense in the real world. I would also, taking it away from the politically incorrect and terrible politics of this film, just question the internal logic of it. So, Ray Finkel escapes from mental asylum, finds someone who's willing to perform at least some gender corrective surgery.
Yep.
Joins the police force under an assumed identity. This is to make sure his fingerprints aren't on file anywhere, which, as someone who's been committed, I would assume they are. Then rises up the rank to lieutenant.
Within 8 years.
Within 8 years. And at no point, the whole thing is just, it makes no logical sense.
And you're missing out another key point. Surely Ray Finkel would be an absolutely hulking huge man if he's an American football player. Sean Young is quite a small woman. That doesn't make any fucking sense either.
Yeah, you're right. That doesn't make any sense from a physical perspective. I mean, people's physicality changes, but not that much.
You don't shrink. You don't shrink like a foot, do you?
Yeah. Most American football players are 5'2".
Yeah. So no, none of it makes sense, right? And then Einhorn rushes Ace with broken glass, but he just backdrops her into the water. And at this point, he pulls off the ring that she was wearing on her finger. But even right at the start, so at the start, you assume she was part of the kidnapping. That was a bloke's hands. Like, when you see her pulling it off and whatever, I was like, that's a woman's hands. That made no sense.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yep. So then, case solved. It was Einhorn who did it. Then we get a parade of cops escorting Ace and Dan to the Super Bowl, and Dan makes it onto the pitch for the second half. Yay!
Wouldn't happen.
No. He'd have.
I mean, I know the Super
everything.
Bowl. I mean, I know the Super Bowl goes on for hours, but at no point would they be like, what's really important here is not to do statements, it's not to do victim analysis. It's no. We need to get him to the Super Bowl on the game. He's going to have absolutely no trauma or unresolved trauma from this. He's an idiot, so he couldn't possibly have any trauma. We need to get the dolphin back there as well to do the halftime show. That's real important. In no way is evidence going to be in any way taken into account. No, we need to get back to the Super Bowl.
And surely, if Ray Finkel had been cancelled, they'd probably even cancel the game. Like, can you imagine if that shit happened in the World Cup final if one of the players had been kidnapped? I don't think they'd go ahead with the game, would they? It's just stupid.
No, certainly not. And they're certainly not let him rejoin the team in the second half after he was free from his kidnappers.
He's not even warmed up.
He'd probably have Yeah, the risk of an injury aside, the man could pull a hammy.
Yeah. And then Ace and Melissa are standing there on the pitch for some reason. He's getting off with Melissa, and then he spots that $25,000 albino pigeon he's been looking for. And as he goes to get it, the mascot brushes it away. And then Ace and the mascot get into a massive fight. And instead of people pulling up, they're all just sort of smiling. Oh, that Ace, like that. And then so stupid.
Comes to Melissa having a smile. If that was you, I'd be so fucking embarrassed.
Yeah, especially when
just beating someone up on telly.
Completely beating the shit out of him. And the camera's all panned down and go, Ace Ventura. And then he sort of sheeps, he looks up, gives the thumbs up, and that's when we get the little, zoom out. What is that called? When he goes in like a little tunnel light or whatever, when they zoom in on someone. It's like the Looney Tunes thing they do. It's like the final shot, so I don't know. But yeah, they do that. And then credits. So that was Ace Ventura. We finally covered it. So, right then. Oh Christ. Let's try and be positive. So back when we were kids. No, I know. There's not a lot to like about it, but when we were kids, right? What did we like about it back then?
But I love this film. When I was a kid, I watched it again and again and again. I loved Jim Carrey's zany humor. It's a very similar story to The Mask, right?
Mhm.
I loved his zany humor. I loved his character. I thought it was just the funniest thing in the world as a 9-year-old. I do believe that I'm just slowly going back film by film and ruining my childhood with this because Jim Carrey was a big part of my childhood. Specifically, there's 3 films that came out this year: this, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber. I'm dreading watching Dumb and Dumber at some
Well,
point
let's
because
not. Why don't you just
I
preserve
love
that
Dumb and
memory?
Dumber,
Preserve
and
the
I have a
memory.
feeling it's probably also not going to be particularly strong anymore. So yeah, I just all round just thought it was a great piece of comedic cinema. You can't account for the critical faculties of a 9-year-old.
But did you hate anything about it then, or was it just a riot,
No,
the whole film?
no, I loved it. I loved the whole film, begin to end.
Yeah,
Loved
I
it.
did too. I did too. I mean, I didn't have any idea what was going on with all that transphobic stuff and whatever. I had no idea. Even the ending made no sense to me. I just thought at the end he was pointing out that Sean Young had shit herself. I was just like, what's this? Like that. I just got really, really
Oh,
confused by
I
that.
always
But
got it.
no, I didn't get it. It wasn't until I rewatched it as like a teenager. Like, oh, like that. But when I was like 9 or 10, I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm just laughing at Jim Carrey being silly. So yeah, I mean, do you like anything about it now? We've gone over what we
No,
fucking hate about
look,
this, but is there anything you like about it?
there's a couple of good lines. Um, I'll always like seeing Udo Kier and stuff because he's quite watchable. Um, Apart from that, I mean, Courtney Cox has nothing to do. She's
No.
fine in it. She's got nothing to do. Tone Loc is fine in what little role he has. Jim Carrey's annoying. Sean Young's terrible. Everything else, like the Dan Marino can't act. Like everything is just so one note, underdeveloped nonsense. Like he is the most annoying character from beginning to end. There is no redeeming qualities. He's not like you just think, oh, at least he's a decent man. Like, there is a good core of an idea here of having someone who can't connect with humans and loves animals and is a pet detective, and you could make a decent film out of that. And they chose not to do that. They chose to make him a completely obnoxious dickhead to everyone he meets.
Yep.
But not even like in a redeeming, not like in a kind of a relatable, clearly, he finds human interaction difficult. He's just a smug nonsense person every step of the way. And I don't understand the thinking. I don't understand why they sat there and went, oh, people are going to really connect with this character. And you know what? As a 9-year-old boy, I did. But 9-year-old boys are fucking dickheads.
I think he's such a physical actor and, he's rubber face and all that sort of thing. I think it's just like, just put this man on screen for 90 minutes, just acting like a complete buffoon and people love it. And I think their target audience was probably like 10 to 30-year-olds or something like that. And that's probably what they got, Yeah. Whereas you watch it now as a grown man, you're just like, no, this is really bad.
Yeah. You see a lot of comedies at that time that have got elements that haven't aged well, but they also have elements that have. Right? They've got bits that work. They've got bits that are funny.
Yeah, like Rush Hour, when we explore that. It's like, it's racist, but they're not terrible.
I didn't think Rush Hour was that racist.
A little bit, but it's not. They're not horrible characters. They've got redeeming features and they grow as the movie goes along. But Ace Ventura does not.
You go back to a time when these things were more accepted, and you will find racism and homophobia peppered throughout these things, and they make this stuff difficult to watch. I mean, the biggest problem I think with a lot of stuff from the 80s and 90s, be it this, be it anything, is misogyny. Like it's the way women are treated in these films is terrible. Either they're treated actively badly, or they just don't have a character at all.
No.
And it makes it hard to watch, and it makes it hard to like. I've always sort of played the game of like, if I had kids, would I be comfortable letting my kids watch a film? And there's a lot of films where I think, there's elements that I might need to contextualize, but otherwise probably. This, God no.
Yeah, no.
Because there's nothing in it. There's nothing redeeming in it at all.
Yeah, and then you might say, oh, if they watch a censored version of it, like when it's on ITV on a Saturday afternoon, but then what's the bloody point? They've cut everything out. It's just going to make no sense.
But even then, what have you got? An obnoxious, annoying,
that's it,
man-child with no redeeming features who basically teaches you the lesson it's all right to be an obnoxious prick all the time, and everybody will inexplicably tolerate you.
Yeah. Well, and again, we spoke about this before, but this is why I think The Mask is better, because Stanley Ipkiss is not an annoying character. He's quite a normal bloke. It's only when he becomes The Mask he's fucking annoying. But The Mask is supposed to be annoying. He's the god of mischief. Low-keys. It makes him be a fool. So that's where that works.
In context, if you put the two films side by side, The Mask is a far better film.
Of course it is.
But it's. I mean, at least in that, Cameron Diaz, for all the faults in her character's presentation, has agency and has a character arc. It's not great, but she's got it. And Amy Asbeck has more to do. I mean, in this, Courtney Cox barely registers in the scenes that she's in. Obviously, The Mask is a better film. It's still not a good film, but it's better than this.
I disagree. I thought The Mask held up. But yeah, I see your point. Right. Anyway, let's stop trashing this movie. Let's just go on to some Smith trivia, because maybe there's some fun stuff within that. What you got for us?
This was on a budget of 15 million, came in at 107.2.
It's amazing.
This was it debuted at number 1 and held on to its number 1 spot for the second week it was released in the United States. It is one of 3 films that Jim Carrey released at the box office here after being considered a TV star up until this point. Becoming suddenly one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood off the strength of 1 year. The biggest, and talking about misogyny, actually no, that's not fair. I'm not going to make that comment. But I'm not going to make that comment. I'll get myself in trouble. So other bits of trivia we got considered for Ace Ventura before Jim Carrey. Rick Moranis said no to the part, and this was the same year that he made the Flintstones and a sports comedy called Little Giants. So it wasn't exactly like he was picking quality projects.
No,
but he said no. Judd Nelson was considered. Alan Rickman is a weird name that's in there being considered. Now I don't know how true any of this stuff is. Right?
Yeah,
read about who's been
could
considered.
Be bullshit. Yeah,
and there was also insinuation that they would gender swap the character and it'd be played by Whoopi Goldberg.
How would that even work?
I think whichever actor played this character, it would be closer to the persona of that actor. So I don't think Alan Rickman works at all, but I could see Rick Moranis being a bumbling sort of pet detective. I could see Whoopi Goldberg, like if you look at Jumpin' Jack Flash or stuff like that, I think I could see her playing that kind of a role. Melissa, the character of Melissa, before it went to Courtney Cox, was turned down by Lauren Holly, who later went on to star with Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber and marry him for a year. So I've just alrighty then, as I've mentioned, was a catchphrase from one of his stand-up characters, which he decided to throw in. And Jim Carrey has so he came up with the idea to strip her down at the end, so that's nice. The Capuchin Monkey would later go on to co-star with Jim Carrey again in Bruce Almighty. So another connection between that is this is Tom Shadyac and I think I'm saying that right, or Shadyac. He was the director of this film. This was his first directing gig. Other films that he's directed are The Nutty Professor, Liar Liar, Patch Adams, Bruce Almighty, and Evan Almighty.
Wait a minute.
Just a slew of shit.
I thought The Nutty Professor was Barry, the guy who did Beyond the Mat.
Blaustein.
Yeah, I thought it was Barry Blaustein did Nutty Professor. Maybe he just wrote it. I don't know.
Maybe just wrote it.
Yeah.
Did Tom Shadyac? I can look that up. I might correct myself next time.
Yeah.
He was involved in it anyway. Courtney Cox, as I'm sure we worked out, hates this film, does not like to talk about it, and claims to have never actually seen it. She also said that filming the sex scene was deeply uncomfortable due to the animals being rowdy and often having to be tied down so that they didn't try and jump on them or get involved.
God, as if that scene wasn't awkward enough already. It's even awkward for everyone involved.
Yeah. And one final one is the picture of Ray Finkel is Sean Young in a wig with a fake mustache on.
Okay, I think that can kind of be like, our argument earlier that they don't look like each other. Yeah.
I was looking at it and thinking, is that her? Like, it kind of does. It does look, if you, but I mean, she's clearly then wearing shoulder pads and.
Yeah.
So that's all the Smith trivia I have.
Okay, right. So, the final verdict, does it hold up?
No, absolutely not.
No,
even without the transphobic nonsense, it doesn't hold up.
No, right. So if I look at our tally now, then about stuff that's 8 movies now that doesn't hold up. So we're still in the lead of movies that don't hold up versus ones that kind of do and ones that absolutely do.
Spoiling our childhood one film at a time.
Indeed.
Don't ruin anything good for me next year.
Well, I'm going to take us to a place we've not been before. So actually, let me just double check that we've not done that year. No, I do not believe we have. So we're going to a year we haven't done. It's the year 1999. Yeah.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah. So dawn of the millennium. So, if I was to say to you, 1999 aside, what is your favourite Don McLean song?
Oh no. It's the only Don McLean song that anyone's ever heard of would be American Pie.
American Pie. It is the 25-year anniversary of American
God.
Pie this year, and I thought, what better way than to go back and revisit our adolescent youth of rewatching that? So we will be covering American Pie and be laughing at this sex comedy, or not.
I have a feeling. I have a sneaking feeling this is not going to be a good or comfortable watch.
No, I might not watch this one with my wife. I might watch it by myself.
Oh, no. Yeah, yes. This might be one for when she's out of the house.
Awkward. Right. Anyway, just before we get out of here, just want to plug our socials. So you can reach us on email at itdoesn'tholduppodcast@gmail.com. We're on Instagram at itdoesn'tholduppodcast. We are on Twitter, or X as it's now known, Doesn't Hold Up Pod. We're on YouTube at It Doesn't Hold Up Podcast, and we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all other good places you listen to podcasts. So remember, do give us a good review on our podcast platforms. Remember, we do welcome all suggestions for things for us to cover. Like I said, we do want to start moving away from movies and covering other stuff. So do let us know if there's a TV show, cartoon, game, or whatever you want us to cover. Just remember, nothing from 1994.
Oh, my favorite year.
Yeah. So, Smith, is there anything else you would like to say on Ace Ventura before we get out of here?
All I would like to say is just remember, kids, Jim Carrey, just say no.
Just say no. And I just want to say as well, if we're not back in 3 weeks, just wait a little longer.